Let's face it, strategic planning takes effort. It requires an investment of time, energy, and reasonable capital, depending on the depth of analysis you bring to your strategic planning efforts. But when the retreats are over, when the plans are developed and documented, that's when the really hard strategic work begins. The work of executing your strategy. And it's hard because one of the rarest elements of any strategic plan is a plan for executing the plan, a strategy for implementing the strategy, a structured means to turn your strategy making into forward momentum. Hi, Jeff Schwezo here, and in this Projectify Point, I want to talk about the importance of creating a framework, a roadmap that gives your strategic intent action and activity. Activity that creates meaningful strategic progress. If you're a senior manager, then you've most likely been there. The annual strategic planning cycle. That set time in the business calendar that usually kicks off with the strategic offsite, the strategic retreat. The session or sessions that follow a carefully structured strategic development process that boast a big couple of days and a jam-packed agenda, where work groups come together and capture a bunch of half-baked ideas before they're whisked away and pasted on the walls so that you can move on to the next item in the agenda. Then a select group of senior managers and analysts takes those outputs and crafts them into the business outcomes and performance expectations for the 1, 3, or 5-year business planning horizon. Many of the best strategic plans enhance the illusion of certainty with detailed financial analysis that sets out the revenue expectations that history or divine intervention would suggest should result for the strategic changes being proposed. Throw in a mission and vision statement with a healthy dose of corporate speak and a lengthy SWOT analysis, and suddenly you have a document that any board would happily sign off on, and a strategy that any executive team could proudly defend as good corporate governance. Then once approved and the strategy firmly in place, it's communicated to middle management and or the organization, or given responsibility for its execution. Then as the year rolls on, this carefully conceived strategy is obliterated by the day-to-day demands of maintaining the operational status quo. Until next year, when the strategic planning cycle starts again, and the process is repeated. Sound familiar? Well, if you've struggled to implement your strategic plans, you're not alone. Here are some fun facts about the effectiveness of strategic execution. Research has shown that the success rate for the implementation of strategic plans is dismal, with the percentage of failed implementations ranging anywhere from 63 to 90%, depending on the research that you use. In fact, Robert Kaplan of Balanced Scorecard fame estimates that 90% of strategies failed, specifically due to poor execution. Research done by McKinsey has shown that in 52% of companies, important strategic decisions are made by a small senior group and then poorly communicated to the rest of the organization. And that in only 23% of those companies did they have a structured process for operationalizing those important strategic decisions. So why does such a carefully planned, thoroughly researched document that dutifully incorporates vision and mission for tapping into new sources of revenue and or improvements end up languishing on the managing director's shelf, never to be seen again? In today's highly dynamic business environment, truly effective governance is more about having a strategy that allows you to adapt to uncertainty, change, and opportunity, and less about the ability to predict the future than executing a plan that makes those predictions come true. Plans can't account for the iterative nature of experimentation and testing that comes with pioneering new products, services, or markets. It can't account for the uncertainty of changing customer demands and the market shifts that are becoming the new normal. Or to paraphrase the 19th century German field marshal, von Moltke the Elder, No strategic plan survives beyond first contact with the emerging market realities. Although your plan may set out strategic investment and outline long-term business outcome expectations, without a clear pathway to turn strategic intent into operational action and activity, your organization doesn't have a strategy. Not one that's alive and helping to shape your business outcomes. Strategic plans often lack a means of refreshing the strategy based on action, or connecting the organization to its ongoing day-to-day realization. And as a result, it can't possibly have life. It can't be imbued with action. Most importantly, it needs to inspire your organization to act. It needs to serve as a guidepost for a thriving new business direction. To quote yet another military leader, this time World War II European commander and American President Dwight D. Eisenhower, plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. In the business context, the planning we're talking about is just not for the strategy, but for the action and activities, the projects that advance your strategic objectives. Planning that's as dynamic as the change you're trying to adapt to, not just an annual one-off event. In most businesses, strategic execution is the responsibility of senior management, but they often take on this role through monitoring, the reporting and measurement of strategic performance targets, or KPIs, or scorecards. And as a result, your people are largely left to their own devices in determining how to deliver the strategic outcomes, meet the strategic performance metrics. Without a framework and the leadership necessary to implement strategy, your people's day-to-day decision-making around how to use their time will be disconnected from strategic considerations. Without something for them to sink their teeth into, your people will keep themselves busy with the urgent, important operational activities that comes through their door every single day. The future-focused work of strategy can't possibly compete with the immediate work of today unless that work is given distinction and priority. Unless you're intentional about bringing the next into the now. So to quote a non-military leader this time, well, me, when your strategy making doesn't engage your people, your most important knowledge, capability, and capacity is not being brought to bear on the important work of shaping your business for the future that it aspires to. You're not tapping into the signals that tell your business where the brightest future might lie. In today's fast-moving business world, that lack of strategic engagement can be very expensive or perhaps even fatal for your business. In my next Projectify point, I'll explore the key attributes of an effective strategic execution framework. We'll talk about how to move from the world of thinking and analysis, that is strategic planning, into the synthesis and act world of strategic execution. Until then.